So today we're going to be taking a look at how to multiply with mixed numbers as a continuation of our study of Common Core Standard 5 NFB4, multiplying with fractions. To review what we've done in the past, changing mixed numbers into improper fractions. In order to do that, we first multiply the denominator, which is the bottom number in the fraction, by the whole number. In this case, 5 times 4 is 20. Then we add the numerator. 20 plus 3 is 23. And we keep the denominator the same. Also, when we're changing back from an improper fraction into a mixed number, this time instead of multiplying, we're going to divide. We're going to divide the numerator, 47, by the denominator, which is 9. 9 goes into 47 5 times, which is 45. When you subtract, you get a remainder of 2. The quotient is going to be your whole number. The remainder is going to become your numerator, and the denominator again stays the same. So 47 ninths would become 5 and 2 ninths. Also, as a review, we're going to take a look at how to multiply a fraction by another fraction, in this case 3/8 times 2/5. And as if you remember that we multiply straight across. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 8 times 2 is 40. And then if we can, we're going to simplify. 6 over 40. We can divide both of those numbers by 2, and we would get 3/20. So again, the rules would be to multiply the numerators together, multiply the denominators together, and then simplify if possible. The last thing we're going to review is when we multiply a fraction by a whole number. So let's take a look at the example of 2/3 times 4. The first thing we're going to do is put a 1 underneath the 4 to make it look like a fraction. When we have a whole number, we just want to put a 1 under it. So then we were going to multiply just like we have two fractions. 2 times 4 is 8, and 3 times 1 is 3. But if you notice, now we have an improper fraction. And to simplify an improper fraction, the best course would be to turn it into a mixed number. 3 goes into 8 2 times, which is 6, and we would have 2 left over. So 8/3 is going to become 2 and 2/3. So again, if we have a whole number, we write a 1 underneath it. Then we multiply the numerators together, multiply the denominators together, and then simplify if possible. So that leads us into multiplying with a mixed number. Now, one of the easiest things to do, or easiest mistakes I should say, to make is thinking that you can just multiply like a fraction and then multiply the whole numbers together. Unfortunately, while that would be a very easy way to do it, that will not result in the correct answer. The first thing that we'll have to do if we have any mixed numbers is change them into improper fractions. So for example, we took 3 times 1, add the 2, that gives us 5/3. So 1 and 2/3 becomes 5/3. The 3/4 is just a regular fraction, so that just carries over. And now we can multiply straight across. 5 times 3 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12. And then again, now we're going to simplify. 12 goes into 15 one time, which is 12. We would have 3 left over, so that would become 1 and 3/12. And 3/12 is a simplifiable fraction. We can divide both of those numbers by 3, and we get 1 and 1/4 as our final answer. So our steps here are to change any mixed numbers into improper fractions. If there are any whole numbers, we would want to write a 1 underneath them. Multiply your numerators together, multiply the denominators together, and then simplify if possible. Another example of along this is if we did have a whole number in our problem. Let's say we had 2 and 2/3 times 4. So again, we would want to change that mixed number into an improper fraction. 2 and 2/3, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8, so that's going to become 8/3. We put a 1 underneath the 4. Okay, now we're going to multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. That's going to give us 32/3. And then we're going to change that back into a mixed number. 3 goes into 32 10 times, which is 30, with 2 left over, so we would have 10 and 2/3. And this is not a simplifiable fraction, so our final answer here would be 10 and 2/3. So again, you have to change mixed numbers into improper fractions first. You cannot multiply with mixed numbers any other way. If you have a whole number, you do want to write a 1 underneath them. It does make it easier because then it will help you remember that is a 1 as your denominator. You always multiply your numerators together, your denominators together, and as always, if you can, simplify your answers.